I always tell people, if you're in it for the money, don't do this. Do not do this, because the money does not come fast. It does not come fast. And a lot of times it can be a very unstable career. And so you really got to love what you do, right? Like you really got to love it in order to withstand a lot of the challenges that you may face in the industry.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So for all those crazy people out there who never heard of your girl, who ain't tapped in, they don't know what's going on, Hampton, Virginia is in the building. Give us your name and tell us what you do in a couple of seconds.
Absolutely. Well, I am Chey Parker. I am a media personality in the DC, Maryland, Virginia region. I am an influencer, and I'm also an entrepreneur. You may have heard my voice on some of your favorite shows. I was the voice host of MTV's The Love Experiment, one of their latest dating shows. And I'm here, just to try to give a little bit of my pimp game.
I like that. I like that. So let's go back to where it all started for you in Hampton. What's up? Your moms, your brother, the dog, the cat, your pops, all of that. How did you fall in love with being a media personality?
Well, I have to say that I always had a feeling that I would be doing what I'm doing now. Radio is my first love. I remember being in elementary school. I was in the 5th grade. And we had this thing called the Burbank News Network. And it was our little elementary school's news network. I was the weather girl. And that, I would say, is probably the moment in my childhood where I was like, oh, yeah, this is what I want to do. I want to be in front of the mic, in front of the camera, yapping, because I was definitely that child that always had talkative on their report card, gets good grades, is a great student, but is a little disruptive. And so I had a feeling that I would be doing something in the media field. Growing up, 106 in Park was really big during that time. You could not tell me that I was not going to be the next Free or the next AJ. I was going to be the next Free, okay? Boots and afro and all. And it was just something about seeing a Black woman who looked similar to me, who, was curvy, who had hips, who had an afro, and was just doing her thing on TV. And that was so fascinating to me. So I grew up in, a really small town, Hampton, Virginia. I had a pretty normal childhood. I was actually raised by my grandparents. So a lot of people say I have an old soul because, I always kind of had those old souls around me. And so my grandparents really poured into me and made sure that I got to try everything that I even had a little bit of an inkling of interest into doing, whether it was ballet, tap, I cheered, I played the piano, I worked, I was on the drill team. I quit that didn't last long at all. But I feel like just that way of growing up, of having a very strong support system, having those type of grandparents who, were always so encouraging about going out there and trying whatever it is that you want to do. If it doesn't work out, that's okay, but you're not going to quit. It's okay to pivot, but it's not okay to quit. And I feel like that's really aided me in my career up to this point.
I like that. So let me ask you this, with the grandparents, stuff like that, you was with them 3 years old, 4 years old, 5 years old. Were you talkative then? Because sometimes I know even for me, when I was a young kid, I wasn't as talkative as I am now. Was that the same case for Miss Chey Parker?
Yeah, I was talking, okay? I was probably talking out of the womb. My mom used to say that, she prayed for a little girl and she prayed to hear mommy, mommy, mommy all the time. And then here I come, I pop out and I'm saying, mommy, 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 probably 100 times more than she thought that she wanted. So I was always very talkative, very much so an extrovert, never afraid to be the center of attention. I didn't yearn for attention per se, but very early on in my childhood, I sort of knew I had that special thing where, I want to go up to the front of the class and do the problem on the math board, or, I want to be the first one to read in the class. That was definitely me.
Right. Okay. I like that. So You mentioned your moms, your pops too. Who would you say your personality is most like? Is it, or I don't know, is it like your mom's sister, or is it your mother? Is your father? Who's your personality most like?
Oh, wow. That's a tough one because I feel like I have sort of equal percentages from both my mom and my dad. My mom was definitely the more outgoing person, very talkative, pretty much sort of the wild child in the family. And I think that's where I get like my fun streak from, for sure. Not afraid of confrontation at all. Definitely sort of like, that woman who is not scared to say what she means and means what she says. But I have a lot of my dad ways as well. I'm probably a lot more laid back than my mom. And I think that comes from my dad's side. And my dad is like super witty and sarcastic. Like he's a sarcastic guy. We'll say that. Sometimes you'll be like, what you say? Like, so that wittiness, that humor, or sort of that, always ready to sort of, have a response back or a clap back, that comes from him.
Okay. I like that. So you mentioned, I don't know, you don't take no mess. Did you ever get into fights as a young kid or whatever because you was talking so much? Maybe you was talking your stuff. Did Chey Parker ever get into any fights with some of the girls in school?
I did. I didn't start getting into fights until middle school. And I think middle school is where, you get picked on a lot, right? I had gap teeth. I was super skinny. I had a big forehead. I had hairy legs. Like my mom would not let me shave my legs. She would not let me get my eyebrows done until I was, I think, 15 or 16. And, in middle school, that is torture right there. I got to go to PE with hairy legs. That's crazy. So I got picked on a lot. And so very, very early on in middle school, I realized that I had to, stand up for myself. And that's sort of where like the fights came in. Once I got to high school, everybody pretty much knew not to mess with me. And it was interesting because I was in this program called the IB program, which stands for International Baccalaureate. And so it was like this program for super duper smart kids, but it was at one of the worst high schools in Hampton High School. And so I went to Hampton High School to be in this program, and all my teachers just thought I was so quiet, but I would get in fights. I would get in fights. All of my cousins went to this high school, so we would get in fights. We weren't playing no games. We wasn't really, you know what I mean? Like we wasn't really messing around. And so I eventually decided on my own. I wrote this long letter to my grandma and to my mom. I'm explaining to them why I wanted to leave the IB program, why I wanted to leave this high school. And I was like, I want to go to Keke High School, which was my actual zoned high school. And I want to cheer, and I'm not going to get in any more fights, and I'm going to graduate, and I'm going to get an internship in radio. And now looking back on that letter, I'm like, wow, I really did everything that I said that I was going to do. So I'm so happy that they allowed me to, quit the program. After the year was over, I transferred high schools, and things started to, go a lot better for me once I got to that new high school.
Okay. Shout out to the new high school. All right. Yo, if you are just joining us, we're live on the PIMP Game Podcast, and we're out here with the one and only, that's right, 92 Q's finest out of Baltimore, Miss Chey Parker, doing it right here on the PIMP Game Podcast. So, let me ask you this. Your grandmother, your mother, your father, your family, all of that. Who would you say is the most inspirational in, I don't know, Miss Parker, Chey Parker's success in doing this, like from a young age? Who would you say was the person that was just like, you know what, you could do this. Go ahead and do it. We are behind you, or I'm behind you. Who was that person in your family?
It was definitely my grandmother, definitely my grandma. Such an inspiration, such a strong woman. When people, ask me who I'm inspired by, it is definitely her. She passed away a few years ago from cancer, but I know that if it was not for my grandma, my life absolutely would not be what it is today. I would not be the woman that I am today, or be so open to, going after what I want. I feel like as you get older in this life, we get more paralyzed by fear. When you're a child, when you're young and like you're really hungry for it and you're going for it, you don't really know fear. I don't ever remember being like fearful of putting my work out there or putting my art out there or saying, oh, I'm gonna apply to this internship, or oh, I'm gonna try to go get this interview with this go-go band when I was in DC, like really coming up in the media game. But as I've gotten older and life experiences happen to you, you get rejected, you get laid off from jobs, you get told no, or you get told, oh, you don't really fit what we're doing right now. That fear can sometimes paralyze you. And my grandma was always somebody who instilled in me that, the Lord is not a God of fear. Okay. She always used to bring it back to the scripture. And now, even though she's no longer here in the land of the living with us, I still remember, that encouragement and those scriptures. And when I'm feeling scared, I'm like, you know what? You got to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and get to it. So my grandma for sure.
I like that. Shout out to grandma. I like that.
Yes,
so
Randy.
Let me ask you this. I like the name Chey Parker. It is catchy. It is all of that in a bag of chips. How did you come up with the name Chey Parker? Is that your name, or is it a mixture of your real name? Whatever. How did you come up with the name Chey Parker?
So it's my real name. My real name is Shaylin. And Shaylin, my grandma named me. And it is Native American. It means spirit of colors, which is very fitting for my personality. And so when I was trying to figure out what I wanted my name to be, I was at Howard University. I was doing student radio at WHBC, and you had to come up with a stage name. You had to come up with something. And back then, everybody was Lil everything, Lil Bow Wow, Lil Romeo, Lil Wayne, Lil. Everybody was Lil. And I was like, I'm not going to be a Lil. Like, what am I going to do when I turn 42 and I'm not Lil no more? Like, I'm grown as hell. Like, what am I going to do? And so I said, you know what? It was coming down, winding time for me to like start promoting my show on campus. And I just could not think of a name. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go with Chey Parker. I'm just going to go with, a shortened version of my first name and my last name. And I'm a call it that. And so growing up, most of my friends called me Chey. My whole entire family called me Baby Chey. So it was something that I was already used to answering to. And so it came pretty natural. And, I've just stuck with it ever since. It's the easiest thing to, you can never really grow out of your name, right? So I wanted to make sure, my stage name was something that I could evolve into, and I could be 52 years old and, still be able to use my name.
I like that. So when was the moment for you though, when you realized like, then, all right, this name is going to stick? Like, did other people start liking the name? Like, oh, this is catchy or whatever. Did that ever happen to you when you first came up with your name?
I think, at Howard, it did start to catch on because that's what people knew me by. So, of course, there's a bunch of Shaylas or Shaynas on campus, but when people would be like, oh, Chey Parker. So it really caught on, on campus. I started doing, my student radio show. I was doing a lot of interviews around campus with the go-go bands that were around at the time. And then I also started writing for the campus newspaper and one of their magazines that was on campus. And so I noticed that, people would attach me to the full name versus just Chey. So I was like, oh, okay, I can make this, I can build on this and make this a brand because it's already, catching on with people.
Okay. Well said. So what's the hardest part about being a media personality, or, doing some production, writing like you? What's the hardest part about being in the world of a media personality? For those people out there who may not know, what's the hard part for you?
I would say there are a couple of challenging parts, right? One of those things is keeping up with how fast the landscape of media is changing. To see what media has gone from since the 90s until now has been, just phenomenal. We went from, the paparazzi days, the tabloid days of where like you could chase a celebrity down and almost kill them to get a story, selling a story for millions of dollars, to moving into this online digital age where there was a lot of blogging, right? You had your Nicole Bitchies and your Love B. Scotts, and you had Tumblr, and everyone started this blogging thing. And then you had social media, and that really changed the landscape of media. So I think the most challenging part for me has been to always understand the changes that are happening and figure out what my place is in that and what feels most comfortable to me while still staying true to who I am as somebody who has, a valued voice in the community. And also, I strive to have a truthful voice. I never want anyone to not be able to trust what I say. So being credible is really important to me, being informed, being educated. I think right now we're in this age where pretty much anybody is picking up a microphone and thinking that they can do it. And there are a lot of, podcast personalities who are awesome podcasters and are great at what they do. But oftentimes we see when those podcasters get on the red carpet and try, interviewing celebrities, it ain't giving what it was given on the podcast.
Right.
It's been important for me to just stay true to the skill and just learn how to pivot. I know right now the business of media is really bad. I mean, it's hard for everybody right now, no matter what company you're at. Everyone has done layoffs. And so back in the day, they used to invest in a personality and invest in a star. They would wrap your face with the truck or wrap the truck with your face. They would, promote you online. That, you would have these parties and all of these things. And now we're in an age where you have to already be a star. They're not going to, put those dollars behind you. Very similar to how things work in the music industry now. You'll see labels sign people who have, already sort of accumulated this amount of stardom on their own versus, just sort of that hometown artist that they went to a showcase in Idaho and they were singing good and they decided to sign them. So those have definitely been challenging parts. And I always tell people, if you're in it for the money, don't do this. Do not do this, because the money does not come fast. It does not come fast. And a lot of times it can be a very unstable career. And so you really got to love what you do, right? Like you really got to love it in order to withstand a lot of the challenges that you may face in the industry.
Well said. So let me ask you this, in terms of the challenges and things of that, being an entrepreneur, being in radio, media, all of that, were there some times for Miss Chey Parker's life where you were like, man, I don't want to do this no more? Was there ever a time where you might have hit rock bottom? I don't know. Maybe you got yourself up. Was there ever a time where you hit rock bottom?
Yeah, I would probably say it's been 2 times in my life where I was really like, 3, this is not working out for me. I can't do this anymore. I tried this. I've thrown everything at the wall and I'm just going to give up. Not going to lie to you either. This is all about, again, being, truthful. I've had one of those moments more recently with just what's going on in the, economy. A lot of times in this media business, especially as a woman, you can feel like all the work is on you and you're getting paid the least. It's hard, but I will say that every time that I've had one of those moments, something has happened where God has been like, no, this is absolutely the path that you're supposed to be on. This is absolutely what I want you to be doing. And it'll be some like crazy big moment that happens and I'm like, oh, like that's what I've been working for, this whole time. That's why all of these, different things that happened to me or challenges that I went through look like obstacles, but they were really, refining my path to go in a certain direction so that, that big opportunity, that other shoe could drop. And I feel like one of those moments, I was working a 9-to-5 and I was doing media on the side and I ended up getting laid off from my 9-to-5. This was like back in like 2022. I believe it was 2022. So I get laid off. Mind you, this 9-to-5, I'm making $95,000 a year just from this 9-to-5. And so I'm still doing media on the side and I'm making money. I'm hot right now. Like I'm hosting all the parties. I'm doing the interviews. I have endorsements as one of the only part-timers, on KYS in DC at the time. That was very unheard of, to be a part-timer and not have a set day slot every day and have endorsements from clients. And so I got laid off from my job and I was like devastated at first. And then I was like, no, now is my time to really go all in. Like now it's time to unleash the beast and dive head first into, everything that I've been telling God that I want. And so I got laid off, and literally the same month that my severance pay was supposed to end, which was in June, I got laid off in like April or March, and my severance pay ended in June. That month, I got the voice hosting deal with MTV for the Love Experiment. And that's when I was like, oh, it's up. Like, it's lit. It's up. Like, what are we talking about? So that was definitely a validation moment for me, because, when you're losing that type of income, and now I'm still only doing media part-time. So I'm not making nearly close to 95K, in media. So I'm like, what am I about to do? Like, I have no idea what I'm about to do. My grandparents is gone. It ain't nobody I can call to, pay the rent, pay the car, do this. And so that was definitely a huge moment for me that I'll never forget.
Well said, well said. So let me ask you this, because I've always heard this with women chasing their careers and stuff like that. Sometimes it can create the woman a shortfall in terms of them being able to even have a guy, like a partner, like someone they can, rock with and stuff like that, because you're so into your career. Is that the same for you? I don't know, you got a boo out there or whatever, or is it tough now because you are into your career?
Yeah. Well, I am currently in a relationship. But I will say that before this relationship, it was definitely hard to date, but not for the reasons that I feel like a lot of career women say. A lot of career women will tell you, oh, I just didn't have time. I was, chasing my career, so much that I just didn't have time. And I look up and now I'm 40. I'm not 40, I'm 33. But, a lot of women say like, now I'm 45 or I'm 40 and, I'm not married. I don't have kids. That was never really it for me. I never felt like I didn't have time. And because I was in the entertainment industry, work was like also play. So, I met a lot of people, just in my industry, from going to events, going to shows, and, just making connections. So I never felt like I didn't have time to date, but I was definitely dating the wrong type of people. And I wasn't always responsible with my energy. And what I mean by that is that sometimes, you're behind the mic. A lot of people have a different perception of us than we have of ourselves, and that the people who love us have of us. To the people who love me, to my friends, I'm just Chey. To me, I'm just Chey. But to, the outside world, and potentially to somebody you could be dating, there's a little bit of feeling of clout there that sometimes people carry with them, and they don't always have the best intentions with you. They just want to have proximity to you or some sort of closeness to you, to have access, whether that is access to your resources, access to your connections, or just to say, oh yeah, I was Chey Parker. Oh yeah, I was talking to her. And so I was more fearful like of those type of things, like more than anything, because I didn't want anybody talking about anything other than my work. I didn't want anybody, talking about my personal business, or, seeing this fallout or seeing this breakup and not focusing on like what I was doing or the impact that I was trying to make in the industry or in the community. And so that was probably the hard part for me. I did have some partners, almost try to guilt trip me into not going as hard in my career as I was. I experienced jealousy, in relationships of, certain partners feeling like I was further along in my journey than they were, or I was receiving more recognition, or even I'll give you a small example. Like, I remember I would date and I would take, somebody that I was dating to an event. And so I'm like, oh, this is perfect. We can hang out. Like, this is a fun event. Like, ooh, like we at the Rock Nation R&B showcase, and I got somebody to take my pictures. And if you're not a secure man in like who you are and what you do and what you bring to the table and what your job is, it can be a little, it can make you feel a little small to be in a room where everybody knows the girl that you're with. You're only here in the room because of the girl that you're with, and now you taking her pictures, and now you feel like you my safari. so it really takes a strong person to be able, especially a man, to be able to deal with something like that. But I would have to say now, the relationship that I'm in, he's his own brand in his own right, like probably way more popular than I am, to be completely honest. And we don't experience that because he's so comfortable in who he is and his own talent.
So let me ask you this, because that was well said at the end. I like that. Is it for those women out there who are, or that young girl out there who is, trying to be a media personality? They don't have no dude yet, like a Chey Parker or whatever. They ain't got a guy to match their flow. Would you say that's the best route to go now that you got a guy that's on your level, if not better? That way you guys can sustain for the long haul.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say absolutely. Like, as a woman, you need someone who is secure in themselves, whatever they're doing. It doesn't have to be in your same career field. He could be a doctor, he could be a lawyer, but he has to be secure in himself and what he has going for himself. And I know for a lot of men, like being stable, being established, having their own, house, their own car, whatever it is, sort of builds up that confidence in being able to go out there and date women who also have that, who don't necessarily need you but want you. And so I encourage, young women, first of all, I don't think you should be taking anyone too seriously until you're 25. I just, in today's world, I don't think you really need to be getting too serious with anyone until you're 25, because you don't even have a real brain until 25. Like, you don't even really know like what you're doing and making complete thoughts and sentences that make sense in your mind until you're 25. So I would say that, one. And two, make sure that whoever that you're with, again, is just secure. That jealousy thing that, you at work and they beating your phone down, or you're with coworkers or doing an interview and it's with other males and they're insecure. Right. All of that, those are huge red flags. Absolutely not. You gotta get out of there. Okay,
get out of there.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Run.
I like that.
Okay. Like that. There is somebody better.
I like that. Okay. All right. Yo, if you are just tuning in, you are tuned in to the PIMP Game Podcast, where we highlight positive, intelligent, motivated people each and every single week. And this week, we got a special one. That's right. 92Q's own out of Baltimore, Miss Chey Parker, right here on the PIMP Game Podcast. So let me ask you this. You've been working with Quicksilva on the morning show, 92Q, doing your thing. How did you get the opportunity to work with DJ Quicksilva?
So me and Quick have actually been very close friends for a number of years before we started doing the show together. I can't even remember what year I met him. It may have been maybe like 2016 or 2015, maybe even a little earlier than that. I can't even quite remember, but I remember the first time I met him was at Park. He's been DJing at Park for, I know, like over 25 years, like at this point. So I don't know if I'm showing his age. But he's been, holding it down at Park, as an iconic venue for a very long time. So I met him there. And then once I started working at Radio 1 in 2018, of course, Angie was still on air there at the time. Deja Perez, Dominique the Diva, who's one of my best friends, Quick, of course. And so that's when, we actually started to build like more of a relationship, a friendship, more than just, I see you out, every now and then. So I was on air at KYS for about four years, from 2018, before I got the call to do a demo show for Baltimore. And at the time, Quick was on air in DC for the afternoon drives with Dominique the Diva. And so they were making some changes. Again, like, media is like ever evolving. And so they're always making changes, always trying to figure out, who's going to work with who, what show is going to work better where. And so they decided that they were going to move his show to Baltimore, and it was now going to be, in the mornings. Now, before that, they did a demo with me with quite a few other people. And so I knew that the original show that I was on, which had two different hosts, wasn't going to be the final show. And so once I finally got the word that, you know, the Quicksilva show was going to be the final show for the mornings, that's kind of how it all happened. So I knew I was going to be doing mornings in Baltimore, but I didn't know with who until the big dogs, the executives at Radio One, made that final decision. And so they were like, hey, this is perfect. You know, they already have a friendship, very much so like a little brother, well, little sister, big brother, but right. I'm bigger than him though. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, little big sis. Call me little big sis.
Little big sis, right.
They were like, this is perfect because they already have a relationship. It's already chemistry there. And then they had Pork Chop, who is, of course, a Baltimore legend, and him and Quick already had, you know, a brother relationship spanning like 20 plus years. So it was just something that, you know, made business sense on their end, but then also made creative sense because you had these people who already had, you know, relationship.
Nice. So did Quick call you, I don't know, early the next morning, like, yo, congratulations, we doing the show together? How did that go down? What, did y'all throw like a little party for you or whatever for him, you being his co-host? How did that go down for you guys doing a celebration?
I'm trying to remember. Did he call me? I think I may have seen him at like a couple of meetings, and it was confidential, like information until we made like the actual show announcement, like through the company. So we really couldn't talk about it to anyone else. So he would just make like little sly like remarks to me. You know, the executives had already told me that, you know, we would be on the show together, but we would see each other in meetings, and he would just be like, yeah, sis, you know, it's gonna be a big year for us. If you know Quick, then you already know, you can get how I'm saying what I'm saying without saying what I'm saying. Right. So he would just say like little comments. And then we did have a party at Iconic Live to celebrate like the start like of the new show. And so it was definitely a big deal, definitely a big moment in my career because, you know, I had the opportunity to be on Baltimore's legacy station. My dad and my entire dad's side of his family is from Baltimore. So that was a big deal. Like, this is something that I get to do in my dad's hometown, and with, you know, two huge legends. So I was definitely honored to become a part of the show.
Yo, this your boy Kenny D. Hey, I didn't mean to interrupt your show, but I just want to take a quick minute just to let you guys know, if you want to see more dope interviews like this one, make sure you go on YouTube and check out PIMP Game Podcast. All right? And don't forget about our website, pimpgamepodcast.com, to see all your latest Pimp Game episodes. All right? We got you. Man, I'm done talking. Back to the show. Okay, I like that. So let me ask you this, because you work with Quicksilva, you also work with your girl Dominique the Diva. What's the difference between working with the two? I know you love working with both of them, but in your opinion, what's the difference with working with the two, Quicksilva and Dominique the Diva?
Yeah. Well, I will say with Dominique is one of my best friends. Like we locked in. Like, so even she's a couple years older than me, so we do have sort of like a mentor-mentee relationship when it comes to radio. She's taught me a lot of what I know, especially of how to do like new school radio, where you're matching being a radio personality and being a journalist with also being a media personality and an influencer, which are two, you know, different sides of the lane. So I sort of learned how to, you know, open breaks, you know, through her, like use word economy. She taught me how to run the board. And we had a podcast together as well called Diva Unfiltered. So I think being friends, we just always handled our business relationship with care because, you know, we were always best friends, always sort of on the same creative playing field, bouncing ideas off each other. I always like to call her my partner in grind because, you know, we just always like, all right, like when we get together, she is, you know, the strength to all of my weaknesses, and I'm, you know, the strength to all of her weaknesses. And so it's definitely sort of like a match made in heaven. Like, she's for sure, I feel like one of my soulmates in this life. With Quick, it's a little different because he comes from old school radio. So they do, they do radio a little different. They have different expectations. Like Quick don't like nobody else running his board. Okay. Like if he in the studio, he running that board. And I'm fine with that because I just want to be over here behind this mic and look pretty. Okay. I don't want to have to work tomorrow. When he's off, I'm like, you need to hurry up and come back because I don't like being over here having to do all this and get the phone and do this and then go over there and DJ. So that's different. But also too, again, we have like a big brother, little sister relationship. So we're able to like roast each other all the time on air, which makes being on air, fun. Because, he'll joke on me about how young I am when I don't know certain movies or know certain songs. And then I'll joke on him about how old he is. Cause why would you think that I would know that song anyway? So, it's different. I would say too, that Dominique sort of, refines my creative ideas versus with Quick, I sort of refine his. So like he'll have an idea and I'll be like, okay, well, let's put this piece here. Let's put that piece here. And let's like make it something a little bit more elevated. Whereas like Dominique does that for me when I have an idea. She's like, okay, like, but I think that we should do this. And then we should say this. And then we should bring this person in. So it comes full circle when you get to work with so many different people. But it is an art because shows these days, it'd be a lot of drama going on and the hosts do not be getting along. And so I'm just thankful that, I've had the experiences that I've had of like not, fighting with my coworker or with a co-host creatively.
Well said. Well said. So let me ask you this, because you have been a co-host. You also have your own thing that you do, I think on Sunday mornings. What's the difference between the two? Like, do you love doing it on your own? Obviously, I know you love working with Dominique the Diva, Quicksilva, and all of that. How is it compared to you working on your own?
I love having my own show. That is the only reason why I am still working on Sundays, because I love having my own show. And I appreciate the fact that people like hearing me by myself. I think, to be a co-host is one thing. To be able to carry your own show is something completely different, especially to carry a number one show. And so it's important for me to always have an outlet where I'm able to just be on my solo dolo time to continue to exercise that muscle, because you can get comfortable, being Mike B or being a co-host or, not being your show per se. And for me, I don't ever want to fall into that type of comfort. I always want to be able to carry, a creative project or a show on my own. So I have to say, I have gained experience in doing both. I have loved both, but if I had to choose one, it would absolutely be my own show for sure. Because like I get to do what I want. I get to say what I want. I get to talk about what I want. Give me my own show, okay?
So are you saying right here, right now, the PIMP Game Podcast, if you got the chance to fire Quicksilva or fire Dominique the Diva, you're going to fire them to do your own show? Is that what you're saying right here on the PIMP Game Podcast?
I wouldn't fire them. I wouldn't fire them at all. But I think that if I have the opportunity to do my own show right now, I would definitely take it. I would definitely take it just because I do feel like that would be the next natural step in my career, is to be in a primetime slot with my own show. And I know just from their support and, the relationship and the friendships that I have with both of them, that they would absolutely support that. They've been on their own show versus being a part of an ensemble as well. And so I think that is something every, media personality kind of has to go through. You see that with Angela Yee. Shout out to my girl, Angela. Angela Yee, she was on The Breakfast Club, and she said, once she got her midday show, that this was something that she had wanted, for a very, very long time. And now, she has the number one, syndicated midday show in the country and is doing very well. So I think I would sort of be modeling myself in her footsteps in that way. Angela Yee of, going from an ensemble to her own show.
I like that. So right here, right now, you can give a little pitch to Radio 1, I don't know, Sirius Radio, whatever. What's the name of Chey Parker's new show? You want to do it right now, maybe start next month. What's up? What's going to be the name of your show?
It's Chey in the middays. It's the Chey Parker show. Okay. Chey in the midday. I would love to do, a midday time slot. I feel like that is my favorite time slot right there. A nice little 10 to 3. You still got your mornings, you still got your evenings. That I've done shows in every time slot, whether it was, the night show, 7 to midnight, afternoon drive, 3 to 7, morning, 6 to 10. None of them hit the same as a midday show. Okay. Because you can just like have the rest of your life. When you have a night show or a morning show, it is pretty much your whole life, because you have to either be sleeping during the day to do your show at night. A lot of times you're missing all the events at night. If that event started at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, you're not there because you gotta be in the studio on air. Then the mornings, my bedtime is coming up right now. It's only 7 o'clock. I got to get in bed. Okay. So I feel like, being in this industry, the lines become blurred between like your personal life and your work life. And so you'll find yourself, working all the time. Like all of us work all the time. And so now that I'm getting older, I'm 33, moving, more into like my later 30s, I want a little bit more balance. And so when I think about, would I still be doing radio, in the next 5 years, I see myself like in a midday slot. So Radio 1, if anybody out there is listening.
I like that. I like that. And you didn't tell us what's up. How much are the funds? What do they need to pay you for you to come on and do your thing? What are we talking here? A couple of M's? What are we talking?
500,000. What that lady Onija, the lady over in Pakistan say? I need $20,000 in cash in my pocket. Okay, I need $2K a week.
Right. Oh my goodness.
I don't know. You can't really put a price tag on it. Okay. I feel like, when I was in corporate and I was making, I was making 6 figures between radio and my corporate job. I had a lot of stress on me. I was very, very stressed, had very high anxiety. And I didn't even realize that I was depressed until I got laid off and I didn't have that stress on me anymore. Like it felt like a burden had been lifted off of my shoulders. And so this is the first time, ever in my life where I feel like I really get to show up to work as myself. And, just be who I am. If I got to go in the bathroom and take my braids out, ain't nobody looking at me crazy. You know what I mean? Just simple things like that. And I don't know if you can put a price on that. I think all of us kind of go through that sort of mental gymnastic of saying, okay, are the challenges that I'm facing worth it? And when you realize like how happy you are to do what you love and to get paid to just be who you are and voice your opinion and speak to your community, most of the time you arrive at the decision like, yes, like the challenges are absolutely worth it. And most of us would do it for free. I did it for $15 an hour for years. So, and it was, we were in the later half of this century, between 2020 and like 2022, I was still only making $15 an hour. And so most people would not have been working that hard for that amount of money. So that's why I always say that if you're going to do it for the money, just go ahead and not do it, because you're not going to be consistent. You're not going to stick with it if you don't see money. And a lot of times, we don't until, you get to this point in your career where you're able to actually, sustain yourself with it.
Well said. Well said. You've really been sustaining yourself. You're also hosting CIAAs this coming March. Yes. What's up with that? Can you talk to us about the CIAAs with the cheerleading exhibition? Talk about us with the CIAAs.
Sure. So this would be my second CIAA year. Last year I was able to do a campaign with DTLR and Under Armour, where we had billboards up all over the city in Baltimore during CIAA week. So that was really fun. I hosted a couple of day parties, did a few live broadcasts. And so this year is going to be exciting because this is my first year hosting on like the big CIAA day, where they have, the step show, they got the dance competition, they got the cheer exhibition. And so I'll be hosting that on Saturday, March 1st at 8 a.m. I used to cheer back in high school, so it's definitely going to be another full circle moment for me. And I'm excited to, just be out in the city and one of the, official faces of the weekend.
I like that. I like that. I like that. So let me ask this, because you are really good in terms of your media personality. Who's your top 5 media personalities, maybe of all time, that you look up to, who you love? Who's Chey Parker's top 5 media personalities of all time?
Of all time. Oh, let's do this. Okay. No, okay, these are in no particular order. So I'll just say that. Wendy Williams. That's my girl. Love me some Wendy Williams. Angie Martinez. Awesome interviewer. Any interviews that I do, I always try to bring that sort of rapport and that very like warm, welcoming feeling that she brings to every interview. Angie Martinez can get anybody to talk about anything. Like she had Nicki Minaj spilling all her business and crying her heart out. Like, love me some Angie Martinez. I would also have to say Oprah, of course. Oprah is the queen. Then I would have to say Charlemagne the God, for sure. And then I'm gonna say Free, simply because she was the first Black woman like on TV that I saw who looked the way that she did and was just so dope at what she was doing at the time. I was like, I have to be her. Like, I have to have her hair. I have to dye my hair. I have to have her boots. Like, why does my butt not look like that? Like, Free was it for me. So those would be my 5.
So nice 5, but hold up. No love for Tasha K? What's going on? No love for Angela Yee? What is really going on? No love for Tasha K?
So I love Angela Yee. Definitely a industry colleague and friend of mine, for sure. But you only gave me 5. If you would have gave me 6, she would have been my next one. But okay, those were more so the 5 that I watched growing up, who I was really inspired by. Like, I got Angie Martinez book like on my nightstand. And so Angela Yee, I don't necessarily consider her a peer. She's definitely one of the greats, but I do see some of the other ones as sort of like older, like more like those who I was like sitting in front of the TV watching. Tasha K, absolutely not. Tasha K, not my swag, not my type of vibe, not my tea. A lot of clout chasing, a lot of lie throwing, a lot of shade, just a lot of desperation. Okay. Shout out to Tasha K though. Do you think, girl? Not my vibe. Not my vibe.
Oh my God. I like that. So I guess let's switch slightly a little bit. You doing like some things with some brands, influencing. How is that going? Talk to us more about influencing in terms of brands.
Well, the girl has been influencing the masses for a very long time and didn't even realize that she was doing it. And I was just looking around like, y'all really getting $5,000 for one post? Y'all really, hold on. Let me get a piece of the pie. That's really where it came from. I've always been a girly girl, and just from being in the industry and in media, going out all the time, I love getting dressed. I love doing my makeup. I love doing my hair, all those things. And so people would always ask me, like, who does your hair? Where did you get your hair from? How do you do your eyeliner like that? Or where did you get this coat from? And so I feel like I was always, influencing in a way without really knowing it. But now this year really is the first year that I've actually been taking it. I'll probably say the beginning of last year or the end of last year, where I've been taking it seriously. Because I have built, this audience over time, whether they listen to me on the radio or they follow me on social media, that really does value what I say. And I will catch girls, that I follow, or even, women who may not be friends of mine, but who may, see me while I'm out, or, just know of me. They'll like have the same hairstyle as me, or they'll be doing their eyeliner like me. And I love that. Like, I'm so flattered by that, because, that is what being an influencer is all about. So it's not really about the amount of followers that you have. It's like, do you actually have influence over your audience? Can you tell them to go do something and they will actually go do it? Will they want to know like how you got to a certain point, or what you're eating? Or I'll have people like, can you please post this recipe? And I'm like, I'm just showing y'all what I'm making for the night. Like, I ain't saying I'm about to do a whole cooking content
Right.
series. I'm just trying, you know what I'm saying, cook for me and my man real quick.
Right.
But I had to realize that that's what influence is, and that now we are living in a digital age where that is very valuable. And why would you not, make sure that you're getting paid for that? So I've had the opportunity to work with quite a few big brands. I hosted the Black Influencer Weekend in Atlanta last year. So that was an amazing moment because I was like, wow, I'm in a room with all of these like really big influencers who have done like all these great things in the content space. I've worked with all these big brands, and I'm being seen as being worthy or valuable enough to be included like in those rooms. Right. And so that's what I needed last year to really like put the fire underneath my ass to like try to really do the influencer thing. Now I don't want everything to feel like an ad, because I again feel like my credibility is really important. I'm not just going to promote any product and say that it's good, because then how can my audience trust me? But at the same time, I've worked with European Wax Center. I've worked with Chipotle recently, Live Casino, Maryland for their, restaurant week. I've worked with like a ton of different, hairstylists, and really looking to work with like bigger brands, moving forward. Is just trying to figure out, exactly what your niche is, or if you even have a niche, or, how deep you want to get into it. Because again, it can quickly feel like, you're always, selling an ad like, drink this apple juice with me. And it's like, girl, you just told me to drink some Hennessy, and now you telling me to drink some orange juice, and now you telling me to go get this wig on Amazon. So I'm still trying to figure it out. But so far so good.
Okay, I like that. Now, you've interviewed some dope people in your time: LL Cool J, Keke Palmer, Candy Burris, to name a few. Who is your most impactful interview that you would say, maybe since you've been doing media as a host?
My most impactful interview. I don't know about impactful, but when I think about like my favorites that stick out, Keke Palmer was one of my favorites. Like, you meet her and you feel like you've known her your entire life. Like, she's just a girl's girl, super friendly. I was immediately, drawn to her. Like, she made me feel more comfortable than I think, I was making her feel comfortable, because she's like such a light. So Keke Palmer, Victoria Monet. Loved interviewing Victoria Monet so much. A Boogie is one of my favorites. A Boogie, I've talked to him a number of times, so we kind of have that rapport. So anytime we see each other and we're catching up again, it's just sort of like I'm like talking to my homeboy for real. I've interviewed Gabrielle Union. Who else? I'm trying to think. It's been so many people. Sometimes it's hard to like Michael Ealy. That was a dope interview.
Okay.
Wow. LL Cool J was like iconic. Like, I never thought in a million years, like, if you told the little girl in me that I was ever going to be interviewing LL Cool J, I would be like, no, I'm not. Like, what? Like, are you kidding me? So I think those are probably some of my favorites.
Okay. All right. Well said. So today's quick topic of the show is the Super Bowl had a nice performance with Kendrick Lamar. Also, SZA came out there and did her thing. What was your take on the halftime performance of Kendrick Lamar at the Super Bowl?
Okay, so I love the performance. Okay, I don't care what anybody says. I thought it was one of the greatest halftime shows of all time, simply for the fact that there was so much art that was infused into the performance. And something that I think a lot of people don't realize is that how long is the halftime show? It's not that long, but it's hard to watch something like that and really be able to tap into and identify like all of the art and cultural like references that he put into that performance. I mean, from Samuel L. Jackson, being Uncle Sam and sort of bringing that the Django, vibe to the show, from seen Serena Williams in, and of course everybody is like, oh, Drake's ex because she used to date him. Yeah, but we forget that Serena is also from Cali. And Serena is also a Black woman who has faced a lot of racism and a lot of discrimination and challenges in her work. And so I was just amazed to see how they put this show together. I mean, the entire set was supposed to mimic a prison yard on the NFL, on the Super Bowl stage. So we have all of these Black men in red, white, and blue in do-rags, imitating like what a prison yard like looks like. And I just don't feel like, people really understood how much of a cultural impact or how much of a cultural message like Kendrick was trying to send on that sort of national stage that he sent. So it was entertaining for me. I do understand why some people might have thought it was boring, I guess, but I'm an art girl. I love art. So I was just like, oh my God, this is genius. I loved it. I loved it. And I will be seeing him when he comes to the DMV this summer.
Okay. I like that. So, any future projects coming up for Miss Chey Parker moving forward, a tour, whatever? What do you have coming up? Any future projects for Chey Parker?
So future projects, of course, CIAA is coming up soon and very soon. Women's Month is coming up, so I will be participating in a lot of different events to just celebrate being a woman, especially a Black woman in America, because it is not easy. So I'm looking forward to that. And just really getting my feet a little wetter in the influencer world and the voice work world. I want to start doing audiobooks. I want to start voicing animations, cartoons, video games. So those are my next couple of goals for this year, is to really explore that more. I'm always going to be in media for as long as media will have me. But this year I'm sort of interested in learning and exploring how I can use my talent and my voice in other spaces. So that's what's really big for me right now. I'll probably say this is the first time in my life where I don't have like specific projects lined up all the way to the end of December. So I think this is a good thing because it's allowing me to be nimble and to really be open to, all of the possibilities that can come.
I like that. So let me ask you this, in terms of you got projects and things of that nature. If they want to reach out to you for, I don't know, a voiceover, maybe to host a show, maybe to do a interview with somebody, how can they get in contact, or how can fans or whoever want to work with you get in contact with Chey Parker?
Absolutely. Well, you can always reach out to me on Instagram and Threads at I am Chey Parker. That's Chey like shea butter, but spelled Chey. Or you can email me at bookcheyparker@gmail.com.
I like that. So for all those people who've been rocking with you back in Hampton, VA, Howard University, Radio 1, all of that, touring, whatever you've been doing in the past, I like it. Any final thoughts for your fans or shout outs before we sign off on Pimp Game?
I just gotta say shout out and thank you to all of my supporters, anyone who's been rocking with me since the very beginning, since my EGL days when I was blogging and working for Yandy Smith. I really appreciate the support. I appreciate the encouragement. You guys have no idea how much it means to me. A lot of times, we know who we are, but we need that validation and that encouragement from our support team and our support system to really keep us going. And so I appreciate that so much from, anyone who follows me on social media to, my closest friends and my closest family. So I appreciate that. And I love y'all so much. My goal is to always, inspire someone to chase after their dreams and to not be afraid to pivot. And so if I've been able to do that for, even just one person, I feel like I've definitely, accomplished something in this world. And I just love, hearing those stories of, oh, like, Chey, you inspire me so much. Like when I see you get into it in the morning, I'd be like, all right, let me get myself up. So shout out to y'all, because you say I keep you on, but y'all keep me
on. I like that. All right. So it was a great show. Yo, tell everybody who you chilling with.
I'm chilling with Kenny D on the PIMP Game Podcast.
All right. And before I let you go, I'd like to say thank you to all my viewers out there for tuning in. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. That's right. You're going to subscribe and make sure you turn those notifications on. So when we upload videos, you are the first to get it. And last but not least, we'd like to thank the one and only 92Q's finest out of Baltimore. That's right. Chey Parker for blessing us with her presence on the show. All right. See you next time on PIMP Game. You don't want to miss it. Holla.